So I know I've been a little quiet here recently, but I have a good reason for that, and that is for two things that I want to talk to you about in today's video. So one is that I am finally ready to share with you a very big announcement that I've been working on for a very long time that has literally been taking over my life for probably the past 2 months. I've been working endlessly to get it ready to share with you, and we will talk about that in a minute, because before I talk about my big announcement, I did want to quickly share with you a very unexpected life update that I recently had. So as some of you may know, I was sick probably like a week or as you can see, I'm still not perfectly better, but a week or two ago, I was pretty sick and I had to pull back on content a little bit because of that. And then the second that I literally got better enough to finally film another YouTube video for you guys and get back on schedule, I got a very unexpected call from my father-in-law. And he's basically like, look, I have a friend who's currently sitting upstate in his summer house with a 6-month-old Bernedoodle, and he needs to get rid of it so that he can go back home because he lives in the city and he just like has a summer house upstate that his family goes up to for the weekends and like, you know, in the summer and stuff along those lines. And basically, a couple of months ago, he had brought home an 8-week-old Bernedoodle thinking that he would surprise his family with it, but he didn't realize how much his wife was against the idea. So she's like, look, sorry, you gotta get rid of the dog. We're not having a puppy. So he ended up having to give it away to one of his friends who was like a young couple or something like that. And they had it for a couple of months. And unfortunately, it didn't really end up working out with them. So they're like, look, you gotta take the dog back. So he ended up taking the dog back, but his wife wouldn't let him in the house. So he's sitting upstate and he's like, look, somebody has to take this dog. So he was calling everybody he knows. And then he called my father-in-law. My father-in-law called me and is like, look, didn't you always want a Bernedoodle? And the truth is that I did always want a Bernedoodle, even though I have one dog that's an Irish Doodle. So it's an Irish setter mixed with a poodle. He's Cooper. He's 3 years old. I've shared him multiple times on my channel. I knew that one day I did want to get a second dog, except that day was definitely not today or anytime in the near future. But at the end of the day, I always knew that when I would be getting a new dog, it would definitely be a Bernedoodle, because I'm a huge fan of like golden doodle sort of breeds, like golden doodle, Irish doodle, Bernedoodle, all of those sort of mixed with poodle sort of stuff. And I knew that the next dog I'm getting is going to be a Bernedoodle. And then on top of that, I always wanted a black and white Bernedoodle. And guess what this dog was? It was a 6-month-old black and white Bernedoodle, completely for free. All I had to do was take him. So I'm like, I don't know what I should do. But it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and the guy wanted to go home to his wife. So I didn't really have a lot of time to decide on this because there were a couple of other people who were interested in taking it off his hands. So I'm just like, you know what? Let's go for it. So that's exactly what I did. So basically, completely out of the blue last Thursday, I ended up bringing home a 6-month-old Bernedoodle. His name is Smokey and he is absolutely adorable. I'm very happy that I made that decision, even though it's been a little bit stressful just getting used to having 2 dogs in the house, and especially one of them being a puppy. So now I have to go and train a brand new dog, which I just was not expecting to do. So I had been a little bit busy and distracted and overwhelmed, but all for good reasons. So that was basically the life update that I wanted to share with you, that I am just like over the moon about, even though also like completely stressed and going crazy over. But anyway, with that said, I really wanted to share with you my very big announcement, which I feel like is almost like not as exciting now that I have a brand new dog, and that is just like so much more fun. But I've been working for a very long time on making you guys some book binding tutorials. Ever since I had posted my reviews for Aquarius and Fury for my Sense POV, as well as my manacled review, and how in that video I was talking about how I basically learned how to hand bind myself and how I was getting myself into fanfics and everything along those lines, I got an overwhelming response of people who were very interested in getting involved in hand binding as well, and how you guys wanted to see some tutorials, because I kind of showed you how I did it, but I didn't really go into too much detail because I didn't think you guys would be that interested in it, but you guys seem to really want to learn it as well. So I basically spent the past, what was it, like almost 2 months or so, making tutorials to walk you through every single step of the process from beginning to end. So I actually decided to set up an entire Patreon for this. Shameless plug, let's talk about the fact that I'm starting a Patreon. I basically started a Patreon so that I can move all of my hand binding stuff to that, so that I don't overwhelm anybody who really isn't that interested, you know, to hear all about fanfics and book binding and everything along those lines on my regular platforms, even though I'm definitely still going to be sharing some of those sort of stuff. But I basically wanted a separate space to kind of build a community of people who are really very deeply interested in all of that sort of stuff, as well as actually share with you very detailed step-by-step tutorials for it all. So I actually made an entire other video kind of introducing the Patreon, why I decided to make it, what I'm offering with it, what you're gonna get from it, and all of that sort of stuff. So I will have that link down below, but you can also find that video on the homepage of my Patreon. So I'll basically have a ton of information down below in case you were interested in checking my Patreon out and possibly learning how to bookbind. But even besides for just like the hand binding fanfic sort of stuff, I am also going to be sharing some other exclusive content that just is regular bookish sort of thing. So if you were interested in like, getting more content from me than just what I generally share on my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, then make sure to check out what I'm offering on my Patreon. And also remember that I'm going to be growing it based off of what I hear you guys want to see. So if you have any ideas for me of something that you want to see from me, or what maybe you want to add or stuff along those lines, I am open ears. I really want to make this community for you guys. I want to get to know you guys better, have a place to talk to you guys a little bit more. And that is where I chose to basically start that. So that was more or less my big announcement. And I feel like I should just say right now that just because I started my Patreon does not mean that any of my regular content is changing very much. I'm still going to be uploading to YouTube regularly like I always have been, even though I was sick and then got really busy and then therefore like missed a couple of videos. But in general, I don't really plan to pull back on YouTube at all. I don't plan to pull back on my Instagram, back on my TikTok. I'm still going to treat those just like I always have been, but now I'm just going to be giving you guys even more. So with that said, that was my big announcement. That was my big life update. And honestly, I gotta go take my dogs out because I've been sitting here for a little bit too long and they probably have to pee. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. And with that said, make sure to check out the links down below if you wanted to hear a little bit more about my Patreon, check it out, everything along those lines. Again, thank you just so much in general for the support that you guys give me. I really do appreciate it and I feel the love. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that said, until next time, enjoy reading.